In this video, I'm going to show you the 6 methods you can do to increase the available storage in your Chromebook device so you will have more free space and you can store more files in the future. And to be fair, there will be going to be 6 methods, but in reality, you probably can only follow 1, 2, or maybe 3 methods because there are some methods that are only applicable to certain devices, or certain types, or certain brands. So try your best to just follow as many methods as possible because it will increase the amount of available storage on your Chromebook device. So the first method is actually pretty straightforward. We have to remove files that are no longer needed in the Chromebook. So the best way to do that is by using some sort of storage management feature in Chromebook that allows us to see what files or what items that are taking the most space in the device. You can do so by going to the launcher menu, go to settings, and after that I'm going to scroll down and open system preferences and then click storage management. And here I can see that I actually have 128 gigabytes of storage and I'm only using 38 and still have almost 90 gigabytes available. So I think when it comes to storage, my device has no problem. But this page will show you a lot of useful information like what are the things that are consuming space in your device. So I can see that the browsing data, like the browsing data from Google Chrome, takes about 1.5 gigabyte, which is, I think that's a good amount of storage. And if you click it, you can actually clean the browsing data like the caching history, download history, etc. But be careful at deleting cookies. I personally don't want to remove cookies because cookies are responsible for signing in to a website. So if you remove this, then you might want to enter a password again, and it's really just annoying. So usually I'm not going to remove this, but everything else like cache and browsing history are generally speaking okay to be removed. So that was the first method, and of course you can always explore the other options like the apps that you might want to remove, and also you might want to remove the trash bin files. If you go to the bin, there could be some files that's still in the computer and you need to remove it now. You can click empty bin now or just wait for 30 days because it will be removed anyway. But if you want to get rid of them quickly, then just click empty bin now and you can get some free space by removing the files from the storage bin. And okay, that was for the first method. Now let's move on to the second method. Now, if this is not for every Chromebook user, but if your Chromebook do have an external storage option like using an SD card, you might want to check that on the side, the physical hardware. You want to check the sides of the Chromebook. There could be a slot for micro SD, and it's going to be helpful to increase the amount of storage in the device. In my case, I don't have that option, so I only have a few USB Type-C port and everything else is inside of this Chromebook. I can only have internal storage, but that's okay. If you can have micro SD, then go for it. But if you don't, we can move on to the third method, which is by using a USB flash drive. This is very similar to the second method, except instead of using a micro SD, we are going to be using a USB flash drive. Now I'm going to connect a USB flash drive to my computer. This is only 8 gigabytes and I'm going to connect it, and I should be able to see some notification that there is a new device connected. Okay, now I'm going to click open the files app. And even though this cannot be used to connect to the internal storage, at least you can store some of your files directly inside of this folder, this device, and then you can free up some space from the internal storage on Chromebook. And I think this is going to make quite a dent, especially if you have a big enough flash drive and you have limited amount of storage available within your Chromebook device. Okay, that was for the third method. The fourth method is by utilizing an external SSD. Again, this is very similar to this method. Instead of flash drive, it is going to be an external SSD. And it's actually very similar in a way that if you want to connect it, then you have to connect it via USB Type-C or USB-A port on your Chromebook. And you can see that as a removable device right here, it is gonna be the same. So that was the fourth method. The fifth method is you can swap the internal SSD with something bigger. This is actually not something that I recommend, but I do see some people actually doing it. But the problem is you have to be careful, and you don't want to accidentally leave everything, or sorry, you don't want to accidentally using an SSD that might not be compatible with the Chromebook. So this is probably the last resort option, and honestly I don't even like that option because it's just too complicated. Even if the device allows you to remove the SSD and then replace it with something new, and I actually just recommend using the default SSD unless you know how to do it, and maybe you have access to authorized repair technician that will be able to replace the internal SSD with a new one that is bigger. So that was for the fifth method. The last method, which is also easy in my opinion, is by just using Google Drive. So you might have noticed there is a Google Drive option on the Files app on Chromebook, and you can literally just store some of your files and upload it to Google Drive, and every Google account will have 15 gigabytes of free storage. So I think that's good enough, even though it's not big, but you can imagine you can store some photos, videos, documents inside of the Google Drive account. And maybe you can also use the Google Photos if you are still using like some Chromebook device actually offer free storage for Google Photos, which you can utilize to store photos, and it's not going to be counted against the Google Drive storage, which is very useful, and you can definitely use it. So on the sixth method, basically just try to store as many files online as possible, especially to Google Drive and Google Photos, to free up space in your Chromebook device. So that's basically the sixth method and all the methods on how to increase the available usage storage in your Chromebook device. I hope you found this video to be helpful, and I'll see you on the next tutorial video.